Welcome back to the Words from the Nerds podcast. We are here talking Miss Marvel, episode 3. And, in my opinion, the least of the three, but that does not mean that it was a bad episode. It was amazing, keeps the same pace as the last two somewhat. And for me, I'll just start off by saying it is a solid 8 out of 10. I had 9 for the first one, 9.5 for the second one. So yeah, that's not to say it's a bad episode at all. Just the weaker of the three, but I understand, and we will talk more about it. Without further ado, this is my co-host Charlie. Charlie, you want to give us your thoughts?
Yeah. I'd probably put it about 7.5 for me. I still liked it. It just I don't know. It took some time to really dive into it for me, but I guess it was just like I don't know my tiredness at the time because I watched it last night. But um, no, yeah, it was. I thought it touched on a lot of things perfectly. We got our I think our first like real fight scene of the season.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was cool to see. And I still think we were talking a little bit before we started recording. Like I think Kamal is a badass. Like she was holding off 4 different people who are apparently these mystical beings from another dimension that are
Yeah.
just badasses at fighting. So I mean, good for her. And she doesn't even really know how to use her powers.
Yeah.
Um, Granted, she was just kind of getting tossed around, but she was blocking the stuff she needed to block. But no, I think I mean I liked the sort of like I think like 5 or 10 minutes into the episode or something
Yeah.
when she was like talking about struggling with these powers and how they're not really doing that much good for her. I thought that was cool because I had touched last episode on like she had finally got what she wanted. She got the superpowers that she's been wishing that she could have her almost her whole life, watching all the MCU heroes flying around, and then all of a sudden, this boy Kamran comes around, and like she doesn't even want to train anymore. And now she finds out that Kamran is part of this whole bigger thing, which still ties back to her powers. Um, and so now the focus is back on her and her powers, and now she can really sit and settle and like think like, well, what have I done that's been so good with these powers? Every situation that has happened has been sort of like a bad thing. And so I think that's cool. Like she kind of is deciding if she even really wants these powers, like she thinks she does. So I think where they went with this episode was really, really interesting and cool. I just thought it was rather slower for me, and that's why I put it at 7.5.
Yeah, it was a lot slower than the previous two episodes. I will say that we did even if it was a little bit slower and did focus more on building the characters and their relationships, it did still give us a lot as to like what's even going on with everything. Down to like the first 5 minutes of I'm assuming it's her great grandmother that's with Cameron's mom, and they're all the beings from this Nor dimension, and they find the Bengal to get them back to home. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed all the setup they did and all the explaining they did. And I'm kind of upset at myself for like my comic knowledge is horrible. So I didn't know. I looked up a lot of these things like the clandestines or something like that, and the
Clandestines, yeah.
yeah, and the Nord dimension and stuff like that. I looked up a lot of other names too that I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, it all looks pretty cool. I don't know anything about it. I hope they explain a little bit more on it next episode. It felt like they went like real fast through everything that I was
Yeah.
like, wait, so this and this, like what is going on? But nonetheless, it is pretty cool, and they do give us a lot that they'll probably work on or explain more these next 3 episodes. I did catch something that I was before we get into like the whole breakdown that I'm interested to see if you picked up on. So, if you want to bring it up on your screen right now, if you can't remember, but at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, when they're in the little tomb or wherever they are trying to find the Bengal,
hmm
it shows a shot of looking down on them from way up here, and it's the Ten Rings logo.
Oh snap! I did
Yeah,
not catch that,
and
bro.
and
I'm
I
seeing it now.
yeah, at first I was like, "Is that the Ten Rings logo?" And then looking at it right now, I actually pulled up an image, and if you're on audio, I apologize. But it's just an image of the Ten Rings logo. If you look in the middle at those swords, the exact same swords are
Yeah,
on that. So that's for sure the Ten Rings logo.
that's
Um,
crazy,
which is
man.
really
I didn't
cool.
catch
Yeah.
that.
and it just goes to show like it shows Shang-Chi is kind of starting to, because we know the post-credit scene for that movie was Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel. Actually, yeah, she was in
Yeah.
the post-credit scene, and they were talking about how that is how there's like kind of a warning or like a signal coming off of the Ten Rings, and that it was like a big threat, and so big that he had to bring Shang-Chi in's like, you got to come fight with us, right? So I wonder if this will play a bigger role, because that is for sure the Ten Rings logo, and I'm not sure what language that is. I don't want to mess it up,
Yeah.
but it just has a different language in the middle of the rings. But yeah, that's for sure the logo. And so I saw that and I was like, wow. And
That's
now
it.
now I'm putting
Yeah.
together in my head that like Captain Marvel was at that conference, so she could show up and be like, hey, this the energy coming off of this Bengal, this is what we're looking for, and Kamala could be
Yeah.
like, oh my god, you're Captain Marvel, like you need my help, like oh my gosh. So yeah, it's something to look out for.
That's interesting. Yeah, because um now that makes me think. Well, I mean, obviously, the Ten Rings and the Bengal are probably of like the same power source. They just do different things.
Yeah.
I wonder if if these guys are really from another dimension, the Nor dimension. I wonder if the Ten Rings also come from that dimension as well. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I saw Shang-Chi, but I can't remember how they explained the Ten Rings in that movie. I don't know if they said that they had just come across them or whatnot. Maybe
I'm
it was
trying
in
to
like
remember.
a kingdom or something that they rated. I don't know,
I
but
can't
either way,
remember.
yeah, either way, it was like I think that's a cool thing, having both of these mystical, both of them that go around your arm. That just so happened to be, but I think that's really cool that these things might potentially be related. And I didn't catch that. That's excuse my language. That's sick. That's super
Yeah,
sick. I can't believe that I didn't see that. I mean, is it like a blink and you miss it? How fast? No,
it's
it
pretty
sat
quick.
there for like 2 seconds.
Oh,
I
it
didn't even
did.
see that. Yeah, it sat there for two
Yeah.
seconds. I didn't even see that. That's like
It.
the thing that these people be finding all these QR codes in the episodes for free
Oh
comics.
yeah.
I don't see those. I never see that ever. Not
Mm-mm.
that I keep my eyes out for it, I guess, but
Yeah. I don't know how I caught. I think I just like I saw the rings and I was like, that looks very familiar. But I put in here like 10 rings with a question mark. And then while we were talking before we started recording, I was like, I looked up their logo and I compared the two, because I saw the two swords in the Miss Marvel show, and I saw the two swords in Miss Marvel, and so I pulled up the Ten Rings logo, and sure enough, it had the two swords. So I was like, oh, that's definitely it. So right before that, though, they take the Bengal off of this like blue arm. It looks like. I wonder if that's a Kree arm
oh yeah,
or
was it all like
someone.
shriveled up and whatnot? Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if that was like the Kree had this Bengal, and that's where they ripped it off of a Kree warrior or something. Because then that would also tie into Captain Marvel a little bit. Because didn't she? I can't remember anything from that movie. Forgive me,
Oh
but
yeah, it's been so long.
I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
she had a run in with one of these, creatures or different space species or something. But either way, I don't know. Could just be
I
some random blue arm or something.
I did catch I'm just rewatching it now actually. Apparently there's supposed to be two. There's supposed to be two Bengals.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That this guy just said, where's the other one? And then this one of the chicks from the other dimension mentions that I told you the British probably looted this place. So I'm sure the other Bengal is probably going to come into play
Ooh.
in this season somehow. Don't know where it is. Obviously, the Nor people don't have it, or else they would have tried to get home already. But now that makes me think you probably need both to get home for them to get home. So I
Yeah,
wonder how that's going to come into play. I mean, I don't think you'd be able to, from the way Bruno makes it sound, all this energy. I don't think you'd be able to do it with just one. So
yeah, yeah. I'm interested to see if that second one does play a role, because I mean, I totally forgot about it until you brought it up right now. That yeah, they did say there was two, and they had only found that one. So man, who else could have it? I wonder if her uh great grandma
yeah,
ended up finding it and has it, and that they
yeah,
might
gave
be
it to
looking for
her
her
daughter.
next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they are gonna, because they did. at the end of the episode with her Nani, like she's gonna have to go see her or whatever. So maybe her
Yeah.
wait, yeah, because she said she saw it too. Maybe the
Oh
Bengals are
yeah,
connected and like it showed like a hologram for her as well or something. That's a thought. That's good. You're
interesting.
on to something right there. You're
We're
on to
yeah,
something right
we're
there.
onto something. That is interesting. Uh, Nonetheless, though, yeah, I am excited to see where they go with all of that. But once again, they give us that awesome intro scene with the Miss Marvel logo, and
Dude, that's my favorite logo of all the series.
it's so cool because I believe every episode is different. It has a different font. I could be mistaken, but because I know this one had Kamala, a cartoon of Kamala and Cameron, and she's like kind of looking at him with hearts above her head,
Yeah.
and that definitely wasn't in the first two episodes. So I wonder if each episode that logo gets different in font and background and stuff.
Yeah, this is I tried to like pause it a few times, like while I was watching the first time, and like
Mhm.
there's a little Iron Man logo guy in there too
Oh
and stuff,
wow!
and I don't know. There's way too many for me to like actually sit there. I mean, I could do it all if I wanted to, but um,
Yeah.
I just think it's super. I love the music that goes with it too. The only other one that I like is as much as this is probably the Loki one. Even just like
Oh yeah.
how simple it was each episode. And it's kind of the same thing, just with the Loki one. The letters are changing, and rather than the actual background and stuff. But
Yeah.
no, I this one I think just speaks to what the show is in general, which I actually leads me to what I wanted to touch on also. We talked about this before we started recording as well. This one of the I can't say that this is a reason I ranked it lower. Because I don't know. I just missed that it was there in general, I guess. But this one lacked the visual style that the
Mhm.
first two episodes have, and I gotta say I missed it. I know that they can't do it every episode, or else it would get stale. Because that was one of my things with Moon Knight as well, is that they kept doing that cut to black thing, and then all of a sudden everybody would be on the ground or whatnot, and that got a
Yeah.
little bit stale for me. So it was lacking. They did do it once right at the beginning of the wedding for her brother's wedding. And so that was cool. But other than that, it was pretty much absent from this episode, which I think served a purpose. Like this one definitely delved more into like family life. It wasn't as much about um I guess no, I was gonna say it wasn't as much about Kamala specifically, but it was, because it touched on like how she wanted about her powers and how she struggles with them, and how she doesn't necessarily want to help these people, you know. But I think it was equally about Kamala as much as her family. And because like that speech that her mom gives her, like, you have people to rely, like you can rely on other people, you don't have to do this stuff by yourself. So
Yeah.
I think it served a purpose for it not being here. But I still missed it nonetheless.
Yeah. Um, I definitely caught that as well, and like even the slower beginning, like the movie, the show is kind of slow paced, just focusing on the characters, focusing on this Jin, literally all the way up until like the 30-minute mark, where we
Yeah,
get that awesome, amazing wedding sequence where they're all
that was cool.
dancing. That was so cool. And um, like I said, we don't know much about the culture and everything, but if that's how every wedding is, man, I want to be invited to some like
No, for real.
some like
That's
weddings like that
crazy.
because it's so fun. And then they had Brown Jovi. I thought that was pretty
That
funny
was,
instead
yeah.
of
And
Bon
then right
Jovi.
after they actually started playing like a Bon Jovi song, like
Yeah.
while they were running. So that was
Yeah,
cool.
dude. But yeah, it's real like not, I wouldn't say slow because it does do a lot for the characters. It does explain and set up the conflict we're gonna have for the rest of the season. But
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely lacks what episode 1 and 2 had. And I feel like episode 1 had I feel like it's kind of gone down episode by episode. Episode 1 was like full of it. Episode 2 kind of had, some, and then this one had way less.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do hope they bring it back. I wonder if it's kind of like I always compare things to other things, but I wonder if they're kind of like the reason why they're lacking the visual effects and all the like bright poppy stuff is because Kamala kind of starts to lack it as as the show goes
Dude,
on.
no, literally as soon as you were saying, I wonder, and that's why I literally looked at, I was like, oh wait. So
Yeah.
wait, continue your thought though, because I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say because like episode 1, she wants these powers. She's like this fun high school girl, like going, falling in love or like being sad about not being able to go to Avengers Con, and she gets these powers, and she's real happy. She's happy she got the powers. The whole episode is just fun, visually pleasing, everything. And then she gets the powers in the second episode, but she falls in love with, or she falls for Cameron, and so like the powers aren't really there. We don't get that fun buzz and everything. And in this episode, she's just completely bummed out because everyone's saying, oh, like her mom even says, oh, her mother must be ashamed of her doing this stuff, and she's bringing trouble to the mosque and stuff like that. She doesn't know how to be a good hero. She doesn't even know how to be good, which I thought that dialogue was awesome as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe the visual effects and all the visual brightness and stuff is kind of like a testament to Kamala and how she's feeling throughout these first 3 episodes.
Yeah, mine was very similar to that. As soon as you were saying it, I was thinking
Yeah.
maybe it's like it's just getting more real to her, like real the
Oh
sort of
yeah.
fantasy land that she's living in is sort of heading to the wayside, because like the first episode we get it's mostly just Kamala as we assume that she's been for years. Like she's got like all these doodle minds and stuff in her running through her head, like, oh, mixing superheroes, stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
she gets these powers, and then the next episode, like, she's learning how to use those powers, and the visual style was all there for Kamran, because like she's still like, a teenager, like that, who loves to like draw and have like this little or loves to create in general, because we saw she has like a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
um and so a lot of that was still there for Kamran and stuff like that. But now this episode stuff is like really real, like it can get dangerous. Bruno told her like um all these powers, she doesn't know how to use them. She's struggling with even if she wants to keep these powers. And so yeah, thinking about it now, maybe I actually like that it wasn't, because it serves like a really great purpose if that's the case. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever know if that's the case, but I mean, I guess that's one way we could interpret it, and I like it like that. I think that's really cool. Like it shows her growth per se, but I don't want to say her losing her sense of imagination is necessarily growth. Like you could take it either way. Either way, it's a character progression. They're taking the character in a certain direction, and I think that's cool.
Yeah. If that is what they're going for, I mean, that's amazing writing, and I like what you said about like now everything's real for her. So she was
Yeah,
in this fantasy land wanting to be a superhero, and then she becomes a superhero, and she's like, whoa, wait. Well, she's like, well, I have these powers. Like I could train, I can do this and this and this.
yeah,
And in this episode, she's like, oh, I'm just kind of hurting a lot of people. And so as the episodes go on, the visual effects lacks. And I wonder if once she kind of finally harnesses these powers and starts doing good, we'll see the visual effects pick back up. Um, if they do, then we know we're onto something. If they don't, then, eh, you know,
I actually
maybe
think that would be cool. Sorry to cut you off.
no, you're good.
Like if they come back, like it would kind of show like she's learning how to be this hero, but still be who she is.
Yeah.
And like I know that's kind of what they're trying to lean into. I think they talked about it before the show came out, that she has to try to find out how to be her own hero. So then once she figures that out, she learns how to be her own hero, and then she's still this kid at heart who loves to be creative and do all these creative things. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Because this episode definitely does show a lot of like Kamala's conflict um and like how hard it is for her to balance, wanting to be a hero and then getting powers and then having to be a hero. Like it's kind of the whole with great power comes great responsibility. Um
Yeah.
and so I really liked that. And even if the pacing was even if like this show was a little bit slower, or this episode was a little bit slower, I could still appreciate that they were doing a lot of that for these characters. And yeah, overall, it was kind of fun to me. And another thing I wanted to talk about was like the lighting and how bright and vibrant everything is, which by this point we should know. But even scenes like Abu talking to Bruno in Bruno's little shop, and it's
Yeah.
just so like there's so much neon signs, and even in the inside, it's like outlined with pink and blue neon lights, and everything just reflects off of everything so beautifully. And
Yeah.
like this compared to how dark something like Moon Knight was, um, or yeah, like yeah, those kind of shows and those kind of color gradings. This one is very very cool with how bright and like kind of pretty everything is, because every scene kind of has some like nice light in it. Even the dark scenes, like Bruno and Kamala in Bruno's room talking, he still has this like blue light shining on him, the light from outside, and all this cool like fun bright stuff. So I
Yeah,
think it's really cool.
I think the lighting, yeah, as you're saying, in a lot of these is really 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 nice. I think they captured the non-fake looking light. I mean, a lot of it probably was shot on location, so a lot of it probably is real.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that scene you brought up at the shop is actually, because I think that kind of stuff is sort of what like appeases that want of like the visual style that I would like, that was kind of lacking now. Because like you still get that the bright vibrant signs all in the background. It really like sets the, I don't want to say the mood, because that wasn't like a very brightening conversation that Bruno was having with Kamala Zabu. But
Yeah.
it was still just looking at, I think it still speaks to the tone and the setting of the show as a whole. It's still supposed to be this bright, vibrant thing. Like we get these bright colors. I'm sure her costume is like gonna have that bright blue and then the bright red as well when we finally see it. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think that was a really, I think that as a whole is something that the show really captures well. Even in her room, she has like a neon sign that says hello. Um, as soon as Nakia walks in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then like stuff like that down to like the wedding scene. I'm gonna keep talking about it, but like that whole sequence was awesome. It's visually pleasing. There's lights everywhere. Everyone's dancing, and some of them have like awesome moves, bro. Like I was like, okay, like they were getting down with it, and
yeah.
it was just like very feel good seeing everyone happy and everything. Yeah, and it's just so bright and pleasing to look at and pleasing to watch. So kudos to them for that. Because it does like kind of set the tone for like the show and how the show is. It's very lighthearted, visually pleasing, fun to look at, fun to just watch.
Yeah.
um so they contrast both those things very well.
I
um
love how we got like right before the wedding, which I don't know um what this might be. I think it was maybe just like a little celebration the day before the wedding. Again, we're not ingrained
oh
in the
yeah,
culture.
yeah,
Um so I apologize if I'm making light of something or just not fully understanding something. But
yeah,
I liked this because like it looks like it's in Kamala's house anyway.
yeah,
They got the whole setting here, and it delves into, I mean, granted, she's going through her own thing at the time. Clearly, like this is when she's having like that struggle if she wants these powers or not. Um, but I just love seeing like all the different um outfits and like the different type of clothing and stuff like that. Different, even different food on the table. It's like, because
yeah,
this is stuff I don't typically see because I don't normally watch this type of stuff myself. And then just to, it's a breath of fresh air. I know we've talked about it before, but um, this also speaks to the bright and vibrant vibrancy of the show. So maybe, I don't know if that's like, maybe that's part of it, and that's like why they decided to make this show so vibrant and stuff like that, because of like the culture involved, like the clothing and whatnot. But
yeah. Either way, I mean, if it is, it's very like I just feel like I'm learning a lot from this show about other cultures and stuff, and things that I'm not completely familiar with. I wish we had somebody of Muslim descent or Pakistani descent to come on here and like
yeah,
kind of like inform us and talk about how they feel, because I feel like a Mexican dude and a mixed guy can't really relate or understand a lot of
yeah.
this stuff like me and you. So like we can relate to the nerdy stuff, the podcasts and YouTube videos that don't get a lot of views, but we can relate to that stuff.
Hey,
But
that TikTok she had pop up, I'm trying to get
oh
like
yeah,
Kamala,
I
bro.
know.
Like,
Does
damn.
does does that mean we're canon to the
That's
MCU?
no, I literally turned to my dad last night. I was like, hold on, am I canon to the MCU right now? This is crazy.
Exactly. I don't know, dude. I hope they didn't see any of some of my slander, some of the. Yeah, but I was like, dude, are we canon into the MCU? That's so cool. Because Spider-Man No Way Home did that as well,
Yeah,
showing a lot of TikToks, and they even had an account where they were posting stuff like on our like real life TikTok.
yeah.
Betty and J. Jonah Jameson were posting on their account, so I was like, oh my gosh, we're all getting into the MCU. I thought that was really fun too, and yeah, she was popping off on there. But yeah, it just goes to show. I mean, if you're making a show about a teenage kid in the MCU, that social media is going to be involved, you know. So it was cool to take something like TikTok that is so close for us because
Yeah.
you know we post on there every day,
Yeah.
um, and kind of throw it in there as like kind of a nod. So I thought that was very awesome. Did you catch the Eric Selvig kind of
Yeah.
a line? That was
Yeah.
cool. That he got
That
him
was cool.
from a book he wrote. I like that.
Yeah. I'm amazed that he's still like I thought we would have like Eric Selvik just seemed like one of those characters we would just like toss away as soon as we could, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's stuck around. Like his name's popped up in other stuff before, and he was in
Yeah.
Avengers 1, like which was weird to me at the time too. Like
Yeah.
of all characters you carry over, you carry him over. But hey, I guess he's a genius, so good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was cool. A lot of like little nods to the MCU because she was like, "I'm not Asgardian or an alien. I'm
Yeah, that
Jin."
too. And I was
So
like, I mean, like you're kind of an alien, right? Like, I mean, from another
yeah,
dimension. I know. I mean, granted, not from another planet, probably, but I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what you would call that. What do you call someone from another dimension? I guess maybe not an alien. I don't know.
So yeah. So her great grandmother is from this Nor dimension, right? They're Jins.
Hmm.
So did she get with a human, and then that human, like she got with the great grandfather, right? And then they
Yeah,
made um
Nani.
yeah, Nani, and then you know Nani made the mom, obviously.
Hmm.
So it's in Kamala's like blood, it's in their DNA, and her mom even says in episode 1 like it's my genes, like all because of my genes and stuff. And so yeah, so I wonder if like the great grandma kind of settled down, just got with the human, but since she was from this alternate dimension, she carried that over to her daughter, and then her daughter's daughter, and then down to Kamala. So that, yeah, that is very interesting because now that you say that, yeah, she kind of is an alien. um yeah, I guess they're really not going the Inhuman route. I
Yeah,
thought last episode they were talking about how she was an Inhuman. I guess she's a Jinn, kind of.
yeah. That's actually
Yeah.
something to talk about. Sorry to cut you off, but that's like
No, you're fine.
because last episode, a lot of people that's a lot of people's takeaway after that one scene. Like, okay, she could still be an Inhuman, um, and I guess like maybe this doesn't completely write it away. Just like maybe they're from a different dimension, so they'd have like different genes, and they might still have the Inhuman gene, or I don't know if it's a gene, but just because it's not the X gene or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I I don't know if they could have whatever might the Terrigen Mist might activate within their body. So I but it doesn't seem like that's what they would be leaning towards it with this because I mean why would they make it so convoluted if it was simply just like the
Yeah.
Inhuman thing? So um yeah, there's another thing in this episode. It seemed like because with this explanation, it also seems like because there was a leak before the show came out, or a leak
Yeah.
that she was gonna get her real comic book accurate powers towards the end of the show.
Oh
And
wow.
so it doesn't really seem like that might be the thing, especially now. Um, talking about these I mean, I guess unless like these other dimensional powers like are coming down her family tree towards her,
Yeah.
then I guess it's still possible maybe, but it just seems like these um Bengal power because it doesn't really seem like the nor people have any superpowers. I guess they are super athletic and agile, but they
Yeah.
have these weird weapons, almost like Doctor Strange type weapons, like where they're like imbued with something. Like that
Yeah.
dude with the belt, I thought that was sick. That was super
Yeah.
cool. I don't know
Yeah.
what was up with that. But then the one guy like took something out of his chest and like expanded it and like it was like this big wrecking ball thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Um so I actually looked into it. I said I had looked into it earlier because I didn't really understand who these people were because I have no comic knowledge. But it does say right here, this article, let me credit it real quick. HITC, they were actually talking about the episode and like explaining the Jin and the clandestines. I'm gonna mess that up every time I say it. But they basically said Jin are known to be neither good nor evil and can shapeshift at will, often favoring the form of snakes, scorpions, lizards, and humans. Despite the Quran, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that, condemning the worshipping of jinn, individual genies often appear on charms and talismans used as protection against the demons. Um, but we didn't see any of that in
Yeah.
this episode. We didn't see no type of shape shifting or anything. It was really just like what you said, like some Doctor Strange type powers to, you know, throw stuff around and fight. So, yeah, I don't know how big of a threat are they, other than
Yeah.
just being menaces that are out to kill anybody in order to get back home.
And I just, so I keep cutting you off, but I'm
No,
sorry.
go
I
ahead.
just to talk about like because I oh my god, the way they were fighting, the way I imagined it, like the I guess my head canon, because I don't know if they explained it, maybe they did, and I just didn't catch it. Was
Yeah.
them? I just thought that they were really good at fighting because they've been around for over 100 years or whatever like that, or however long, because I know they were there in the 40s and it hasn't been quite been 100 years since then, but that's whatever. They've been around a long time, so I thought that they just like learned to fight, but maybe they did bring something and they have like these enhanced abilities from the Nord dimension or whatnot. But
Yeah. I guess we'll kind of see as the last half of the show kind of spills out. That dude did seem to kind of forge that hammer out of nowhere, so I
yeah,
guess that's something to kind of look out for. I want to talk about the music in that scene though, because man, that was high. Playing "Living on a
yeah,
Prayer," I was like,
yeah.
oh, because that was one of my favorite songs when I was younger. I was really, really, really hoping they would bring it back after they stopped playing it. I was hoping that as soon as she like starts to like kick their ass, that she would that the music will kick back on, because that would be so
Yeah.
hype. But oh well, at least we got it for a little bit. But I thought that was like really cool. Also, like once again, just playing on the tone of the whole show and everything going on, and just how Kamala would, or how a teenager would be in a fight like that, being all hyped up on some "Living on a Prayer." So I thought that was dope.
I also
I
loved the
oh, go
chef.
ahead, go ahead.
The chef during that scene. They first of all, they just punched this dude for no reason. They're just showing how evil they could be, I guess. And then they just punched the one dude, and the one's like, nope, not worth it, bro. I'm getting out. That's all you guys. Oh
Yeah,
my
dude.
god.
And like
Absolutely not.
that was, yeah, like again, just like shifting the scene and going from like this bright colored awesome wedding sequence to like a kitchen and the back rooms and stuff, uh and then back to the wedding venue where she just like gives one fist to all of them,
Yeah.
dude. I audibly was like,
That was
let's go.
sick.
Like I freaked out when she did that, because it was just super cool, like I said, powers are going to take some getting used to, but um, a moment like that, I was like, oh yeah, this is dope. Which was in the trailer, but
Yeah.
still to see it all play out the way it did,
Yeah, with the
um,
proper music, everything like that.
yeah, I thought it was awesome. And while I might not be the biggest fan, that scene was super cool, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. Uh yeah, and to touch on the power things a little bit, yeah, still like obviously it's not what we all wanted. Again, I know we've talked about it up and down the street, but for what it's worth, these powers are still like visually cool to see. I will give them that. I just don't. I think it would have been cooler to see her stretching her arms and stuff like that. Probably a bit corny, sure, but like if they're gonna have Mr. Fantastic do it, they could have her do it just as well, you know. But
Exactly.
um, I
I,
don't know. It was this whole thing with her fighting them that whole time. It just seemed like it was a I'm watching it now. She's just like blocking and they're kicking her across the room. It's kind of, I think that stuff's cool, but
I mean, Bruno got it bad, dude. Like when he got hit and bounced off the wall, like that was some good
yeah,
stunt performing, because I was like, oh, that was like it hurt. Um, but yeah, I do wonder if they kind of steered away from. I guess we won't know until the end of the episode, because I also did hear that they were doing reshoots because they wanted to bring back in the Inhuman gene and did want to give her like comic accurate powers. So I wonder if they're if that is true, assuming that's true, that they kind of like took the last half of the season and they were like, hey, well, we can still kind of work in the Inhumans and the embiggening power we won't have to change anything from the first half, but we can still kind of work it in the final episode or something. Like, let's say her powers morph into, instead of looking like crystals and stuff, it morphs into just look like just being her in her skin.
Mhm.
Um, and then they say, oh, well, people from the Noor dimension, there's actually a ton of them, and their genes are different. They carry the inhuman trait or whatever. So
Yeah.
that will be interesting to see. But as of right now, let's go back and assume that they aren't going to do that, because personally, I don't think they will. I wonder if they did kind of take that away because they wanted to differentiate her from Mr. Fantastic when they eventually bring him in. Um, I really don't know.
Yeah, that was a. I always thought, because that excuse was really weird to me, just because
Exactly.
like there's War Machine, Iron Man. Granted, Iron Man's dead now, but whatever. There was still two of them for a while, um, and then eventually there's probably going to be two Spider-Men, but with Miles coming in and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. I mean, I think that I always thought that was a dumb excuse, if that was the excuse. And I know that they touched on it, like officially, like Kevin Feige said, like this is something specific that they needed to do for the MCU iteration of her character. So I don't
Huh.
know how that's going to play in, and if they'll even explain like why they had to do that specifically. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see. The
Yeah.
actual actress Manvillain, she doesn't seem to have an issue with it, and she's a huge
MCU
comic
series.
fan. Yeah,
Yeah.
MCU stan comic fan. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'll trust her judgment. So I guess.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to touch on. I was completely wrong. These guys did not just train over 100 years or some odd time, because I'm watching the scene where she's getting kicked around the room and one dude comes up above her to punch her while she's laying on the ground, and she dodges
Oh,
it, and he
yeah.
punches the ground and he cracks the ground open. So they
Yeah.
definitely have superpowers of some kind.
I actually remember as soon as you said that. Yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah, and then the other dude like kind of just throws Cameron through the wall or something, or just kind of busts
Oh
through.
yeah, I don't know why I said that. I completely forgot that they did all this crazy stuff. They have to have superpowers.
Yeah. The question is, what kind of powers though? Because that's all we see for now. So, um, I feel like they'll explain it in the next coming episodes. I did want to say, just jumping back, one reason why I think they could have changed her powers, maybe it could be to, because we know the Marvels, they changed Captain Marvel 2 to be renamed the Marvels. I think it was right. They
Yeah.
changed Captain Marvel 2, and it's gonna be just the Marvels. Maybe they changed her powers so that they could kind of contrast Carol Danvers and wow, I'm blanking on her name. Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
They can kind of all their powers can kind of look nice working together and contrasting together, instead of just two cosmic beings and then a girl with embiggening powers.
Yeah. I
So,
guess that, yeah, that's fair.
yes. So maybe, make her powers look like crystals, look beautiful, visually pleasing, just like. And then we have Monica Rambeau's powers and Captain Marvel. It can all just look bright, nice, and fun. Um, that's maybe my other guess, because I did bring up the John Krasinski. Technically, I did bring up the Mr. Fantastic thing and why they could have changed it for that. But even that, as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's kind of like that doesn't sound like a good reason at all.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. It's just it. I mean, there's been so many. Like they're introducing SheHulk like literally this year, and Hulk's
yeah,
still in the MCU.
yeah,
So it's like it. I don't know. I hope that they give a decent explanation for it, but I don't know that they. It's not like they're gonna say this is why she has this power instead of this power, but
yeah,
I hope they can justify these powers existing versus the embiggening ones themselves. And I think that probably won't come until the Marvels movie comes out. Like maybe she will have to be from a distance blasting these light rays or whatever,
yeah,
doing stuff. Wait, I'm just watching. Yeah, dude, that little thing that dude popped out of his chest literally came from nothing. What is
yeah,
that? That's
yeah.
crazy.
It's weird, dude. I don't know, like it. Ugh. If they like,
It's
maybe they're like kind of like an Avenger or like an evil Avengers where they all have different powers, or just like a group basically of all super powered individuals, but they all have
yeah,
different powers. Like one can shapeshift, one's just super strong, one can knows how to swing a belt and stuff. So,
right.
um, yeah, I
Swing a
don't really
belt.
know. um, But yeah, I guess we'll see. We're halfway through the season. Um, I did want to touch on that end scene with her and her family. It was very emotional and
Yeah.
very touching because I was really wondering if she was going to tell them right there, and I was kind
Yeah.
of hoping she would, and I was hoping her parents would accept it. Um, I hope they figure it out eventually. They find out eventually, and they support her. That's it. I just want them to be on her side.
Yeah. I just like it because it seems to me like she's just she really doesn't want to disappoint her parents anymore. Because earlier in the episode, her mom is talking to one of her friends saying like whoever this girl is, their mother should be ashamed of themselves because
Yeah.
she's running around causing so much trouble. And so I mean, this one is a hard. I was the whole time watching this scene. Towards the end, I was like, this is a hard way to explain. Like, there's no way you can explain this
Yeah.
in a way that makes you sound like innocent in all facets in every way. So she just goes with, "I just can't tell you," and then just walks away. And so like
Mm.
that's. I mean, I think I liked that. I think it was real, and I think this is adding a lot of family tension that's gonna come up later on, especially with the and it actually makes me excited more because I've been thinking lately also that her brother hasn't gotten much time to shine. Her brother and his wife,
Yeah.
or his fiance at the time, now wife, hadn't gotten time to shine, but now he will, I think, because they're probably pissed that she was the one that pulled the fire alarm at the wedding and they don't know why. So maybe they think that she doesn't approve of them getting married, something like that,
Ooh,
or
yeah.
she just wanted attention. We'll have to see where that goes, but it makes me excited because there was a little bit of like hinting at what her brother might have going on in his life in this episode right before the wedding. He tells his dad, his Abu, that like, hey, I only have like $700 in my bank account right now.
Yeah.
And when his dad, when Abu brought up what was it? Grad school.
Yeah.
He didn't really. It didn't seem like he responded very well to that or anything. Now I don't know if he dropped out of grad school or if maybe he just doesn't want to do what he's in grad school for anymore. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of interesting ways we can go with this, and that's another reason I loved this episode still, despite it being my least favorite of the three so far.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Like I said in the beginning, it is my least favorite of the three, but by no means does that mean I didn't like it or that I think it's bad or that I think the show's falling off.
Yeah.
We still have a ton to see. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't seen yet, just based off like TV spots and trailer footage. So I'm very excited. I'm excited to see her suit. I thought she was gonna get it this episode.
Yeah.
Halfway through, I was kind of like, maybe not, but they are teasing it. So
Yeah.
um, I'm
She's got the
excited.
mask.
Yeah, she has a mask so far. And yeah, I'm also excited to see her finally get the name Miss Marvel instead of Nightlight because that is a horrible name. I agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're at the mid-season mark. Um, why don't you give us your thoughts on this show so far, like kind of where you're at with it, um,
Yeah.
and what you hope comes of the next half of the season.
Yeah, I also wanted to touch on like something I completely forgot to because finally Bruno tells her like, "Hey, I got into Caltech," and he tells her, "I think I need to go." So, it looks like he's finally making that decision where he thinks he needs to go to this school, like it's what he needs to do for his life. And I think the whole time when that was happening and I was watching, I was thinking, well, okay, I don't know why I never thought of it before. Like, obviously, this guy can't stick around.
Yeah,
Not that I think that he would die, but he just can't stick around because Kamala's going to go off and fight in space with the other two Captain Marvels. So
yeah,
um, she's not going to have time for Bruno to be sticking around. He can't really be her guy in the chair like Ned. Well, I guess Ned isn't that guy anymore. Um, but no, yeah, I think, and also Nakia has now found out that Kamala has powers. We'll have to see where that
yeah.
goes as well in the future. We forgot to mention that. I also thought it was weird because Bruno. I mean, I don't know. I've never had a chair thrown at me by some supernatural being from across the room. But I was like, Bruno, what? Come on, man. Does it really hurt
Yeah.
that bad? He's like,
He's
no,
like,
I'm not
"Ugh."
good. I'm not good. Oh my God. Like, all right, man. It didn't look like it hurt that bad, but what do I know? Um, but
Yeah.
no, yeah, I really like the show. Um I think what we said last week is pretty apt still. Like those first two episodes were like the best introduction to, not introduction, that's not the good way to, but the best first two episodes of any Disney Plus show, Marvel Disney Plus show we've had so far. Um I don't remember much of season 3 episodes, or not season 3, episode 3s of all the other shows. But this one was definitely still enjoyable. It didn't make me drop off. It didn't make me lose interest in the show whatsoever. Um, Not that I think that I really would lose interest, even if it was a bad episode. Actually, Loki episode 3, I didn't like that much. Thinking about it, so
Which one
I
was
think
that one again?
that
What
one's
happened in that one?
when he's on the him and Sylvie are on the planet that's gonna blow up, or that's gonna be
Uh,
destroyed.
that one
That one
was
was a lot
weak.
slower, and like, yeah, and I thought I I just didn't think it had much substance to it. But at the time, I didn't think, hey, they were gonna fall in love. I really didn't think they were gonna do that, but they
I
did end
did.
up doing that. So I guess it did have some, like on the train when they're talking about love is a dagger, like it had some stuff like that. But other than
Yeah.
that, I thought the cliffhanger was super weak and super rushed. But that, I don't want to get into Loki too much. I thought this episode was better than Loki. Like I was more intrigued with this episode than Loki's episode 3. I don't really remember Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is weird because that's my favorite show of them all so far. But no, this show is great, and I think just, which is really strange to me, because despite the power thing, going into it, I had a lot of worries about that, but I mean, it's visually pleasing. I think the villains were kind of, I kind of saw it coming with this episode. At the very beginning, like I was like, oh, they're all nice and stuff now, but I could totally see them like turning at some point. Like, I didn't see it happening this quickly, but like I think it makes sense 100% still. Like, obviously they've been here for 100 years, been away from home, and so
Yeah.
now they finally see a shot at it. They don't want to wait much longer. Like they
Yeah.
want to get it done. Um, but no, yeah, I think it it keeps me engaged, um, which is more than I could say for the Loki episode at the time. Like I was still engaged, I still watched it, but this, I don't know, that it all the characters I care about. It's kind of like what we've talked about with the boys.
Hmm.
Um, everything, almost everything that it cuts to, I'm not bored by it. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing that it cuts away to that I'm like, okay, let's get this over with.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of the closest thing that might have happened to that in this episode. But I don't even think that there was anything like that in
No.
this episode at all. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
maybe like the Department of Damage Control coming into the mosque, but that was
Yeah.
still, that was good for Nakia's character, because she like got to stand up, and like that was like she was voted onto the board and stuff like that. So it all
Yeah.
served a purpose, and it was cool to see. No, but yeah, I'm excited to see where the show goes. Finally, Kenobi's over now. So granted, now all the stuff might shift to Thor: Love and Thunder, but
Oh, yeah, that's right.
yeah, it's got three more episodes left, and I hope that it gets the bulk of the conversation despite Thor coming out, because I really think this show deserves it. I think this show deserves to be on. You get on TikTok, and you, instead of seeing 6 different Kenobi finale episode
Yeah.
or videos, like you should see Kamala and how much people love Kamala and love what they're doing with this and whatnot. Or if they don't like it, they can talk about that too. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for her to finally get her time to shine, hopefully these coming weeks, and I'm still very much engaged in this show. And so, what do you think, Aiden?
Yeah, I kind of agree. Not kind of agree. I fully agree. I love the first half of this season. I think this show is awesome. I think if it keeps this up, and if these next 3 episodes are on par with 1 and 2, and let's say even like the weakest episode of 4, 5, and 6 is better than this episode, my favorite MCU show. It'd be
Yeah,
phenomenal. I'd
yeah,
love it. And like I said, that's not to drag this episode down, because I still love this episode, and I
yeah,
still love this show as a whole. So I mean, very, very, very strong first half of the season. I am pulling through for them to finish it off. I think these first 3 episodes have been the best, if not on par with some of the other MCU shows so far. Um, in its own awesome way. It's very different from them, very different from shows like Moon Knight, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Um, but yeah, still, it is very awesome, and it is very fun to see. It's a breath of fresh air, and they've had a strong first half of the season. I think as a whole, these first 3 episodes, I'd give this whole season an a mid to high 8. Um,
Yeah.
it's a very, very, very strong show, and I think it has the potential to shock everyone and become a lot of people's favorite MCU show out of all the ones we've gotten so far. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see where we go from here. Because right now it looks like it's just up. We're just gonna go up from here. So,
Yeah.
um, that's all you can really hope for
Yeah.
with the last half of the season on a show like this.
Yeah. I think we got like it's cool. We finally got the villains. It seems like these are going to be the villains. Maybe
Yeah.
well potentially too, I guess, because the damage control is still out there doing their thing. Um, even though they didn't take Kamala in, so it doesn't look like they saw her do any of the powers. But now, yeah, actually, we didn't even touch on that. Now all the Nor people, they're in damage control custody. So
Yeah, that's right.
and I doubt they'd be able to break out because damage control, like that's what they do. They search out enhanced individuals. So we'll have to see where that goes. But now we finally know the villain after 2 episodes, which I think is good. I think especially like the first episode focusing on just Kamala is perfect, and then the second episode bouncing around with her like dealing with these powers a little bit and then still trying to be a teenager at the same time, and then now we're getting into like it's the slow build, and I like it.
Yeah.
It's not like trying to rush us into, oh, okay, there's a mystery villain out there, we don't know who it is, that type of thing. So
Oh.
I think it's really cool, and I'm really really excited for the rest of the show.
Yeah, I will say if because you brought up a good point earlier about Bruno kind of being pushed out completely of Kamala's story.
Mhm.
What if he does go to Caltech? Him and Kamala get separated. He takes his smarts and he works with Riri Williams, a young
Yo,
girl that is going to go by the name of Ironheart in an
that's
Ironheart
interesting.
series that'll come up soon. I've seen that theory being thrown around.
That'd be cool. That I imagine that'd be like something like from all the like the Netflix shows. The one like criminal dude, I think his name was Dirk or whatever, like that was in like almost every show. I don't know
Mm.
if you remember that. He was in Daredevil first, and then like
Oh,
he literally was in like every single show. Like all the heroes stopped. It was either it might have been Turk instead of Dirk.
he
Um
sounds super. Oh
the
man, it
guy,
sounds
it's
super
the guy
familiar.
who plays. He's the new police chief on Stranger Things 4. That guy. It's the actor. Who he's the same actor.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
he was
yeah,
in all 4 of the Netflix shows.
yeah.
So I imagine like it might be something. Maybe it could be something like that. That'd
Yeah.
be really cool though. I think because like I like Bruno. I don't want him
I
like
love him.
to go away or anything like that. And if they find a way to use him, that'd be super cool. Maybe he could even be the next Eric Selvik, like the super genius or whatever.
Yeah.
That he writes a bunch of books that people read. So.
Oh wow. So I actually just looked up Bruno from the Marvel comics. So there's two. There's Bruno Carelli and then Bruno Horgan. But this is what Carelli's thing says. Bruno Carelli was the only friend of Kamala Khan who knew she was secretly the superhero Miss Marvel. He also helped her cover her heroic activities from her parents. Post Terrigen Mist, Bruno's brother Vic, who had previously asked to borrow money, decided to rob the Circle Q, not realizing Bruno would be on the shift. He discovered Kamala Khan was Miss Marvel, yada, yada, yada. But there is nothing here saying that he becomes like a man in the chair or a superhero or something. I freaked out because when I first looked it up, I got a lot of pictures of like a dude in a superhero costume, and I was like, "Oh, are we gonna get Bruno as like a superhero?" But um, it looks like he might just be Kamala's guy in the chair, and I don't know. I mean, we'll see. They don't have to stick to comics. We know, especially in this show, that they don't really care about being comic accurate, which could be a good thing. Not to say it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So they could take Bruno a completely different way, but I love him as a character. I hope we get to see him back. If not in this show, then maybe being the guy in the chair for the Young Avengers. That'd be pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Any final thoughts?
Um, no, yeah, I'm excited for where this goes. I wanted to touch on a couple things that don't have to do with Miss Marvel since we're
Yeah.
about to get out. So last episode, guys, we mentioned that we had a big surprise thing that we had coming up for you guys. We didn't want to tell you what it was. We just wanted it to be a surprise. As you probably noticed, that didn't drop. It wasn't. It wasn't. It didn't not drop because of what I'm about to tell you guys, but it got pushed back. But now it's just not. It's not. It's not going to happen. It seems like so. But we planned on having Warden Wayne on the podcast from SpiderMan Lotus, the fan film being created. Aiden had messaged him. Everything was all working out. We were supposed to have him on Friday. He had to push back to this Saturday. He had stuff going on, but then and we were cool with that. And then, yeah, as some of you probably know, some big stuff happened with Warden and the director of, and the actor who plays Green Goblin in the fan film. Some very big racist, ableist, some kind of disgusting stuff. So we won't be having him on anymore. I don't think we're even really going to talk about SpiderMan Lotus that much anymore. I don't think at all, probably. It was a real shame. Like, it was this big thing that happened it was all over Twitter and it was on TikTok too. So it's a shame. Like, you would think that people involved with such a, inclusive character as Spider-Man would know better than that. But I guess everybody doesn't quite get the memo. So unfortunately, we don't have a big surprise anymore. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some other ones. Aiden's cracked. He's got some, like, I don't know. He might just like swing and hit with another person. So
Maybe,
you never know. But yeah, we're sorry we had to let you guys down with that. We were excited about it, and it just didn't quite come to fruition, unfortunately. So
yeah, it's I want to say one thing. In the moment, it didn't have much to do with Warden himself. I know his comments were pretty bad, and that thing isn't right. But he claims it was from a long time ago, which I understand. I'm not perfect myself. A lot of people aren't perfect. Like, nobody's perfect. I know a lot of people have probably said things in the past that they regret. We were all high schoolers at one point as well that didn't really know the meaning behind some of these things that are very important today. So we still plan to have him on. At the time, we didn't think it was as big as it is now with everyone else involved. We still wanted to have Warden tell his story, because we understand people can change. And then everything came to light with Gavin and with the Green Goblin actor, and those things were very recent. And then we didn't really know if we could trust that Warden stuff wasn't recent, or if it was a long time ago, like he said. So at that point, we just kind of had to like call it off. So, I just want to say, like, we understand that like people can change. I feel like in situations like these, people need to grow from them. And if it was something a long time ago, I feel like you do need, if you've grown from it, if you've corrected your mistakes, and if you understand why some of that stuff isn't right, then I think that's good on you. If it's things that are still happening as like short as like a couple months ago, or like a year ago, or 2 years ago, that's where it's kind of like obvious that you haven't really learned, and that you haven't really been as like aware of the situation as you might need to be. So we just wanted to come out and say that, because we did plan on having Warden on, despite things that he said, because as far as we knew, it was a long time ago, and Warden is a good person. And you could kind of tell that he has been trying to change his ways, and then everything else came to light, and we just really didn't know what to believe. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we didn't just straight up jump off the horse as soon as everything came to light. It was really a process between me and Charlie, and we had a lot of conversations about it. And I just want to say that, yeah, like, I mean, we completely understand, people do change, people do correct their mistakes, but when it's something that is fairly recent, and when you say things like that, like that Gavin said, some of the things that some of these people said, it was really out of pocket. So
yeah,
we just didn't want to bring attention to that. So yeah, just to kind of clear all of that up.
yeah. And even at this point, if we were to find out that Gavin's or not Gavin's Wardens were like a long time ago, and he has changed from them, we might have him on, but we wouldn't talk SpiderMan Lotus. We're not everything that the director said some horrific things, and those were proven real. Some really, really, really disgusting things. Like I can't stress that enough. And then the Green Goblin actor as well is just he doesn't even really seem remorseful for his comments. So
Yeah.
we're just not really. We don't want to push the film out anymore. I don't even really like talking about it right now because like still putting the name of it out. So
Yeah.
um, we might have him on for something else. Talk about if he were to show that he's changed and if there was proof that it had been a while ago, it could be a possibility, but it doesn't look like that in any facet at the moment. So
Yeah.
um, we'll still work to try to find other people. We'll get some other surprises sometimes, hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Speaking of Miss Marvel, Aiden
I
tried with the
tried.
Manvillain.
So, dude, I tried to reach out to her like Instagram account. I went back to my DMs and it just says Instagram user now. Like, I
Oh, really?
guess I don't know if that was actually her account, if she deleted her account. I have no idea. But I did see someone got her on their podcast, and I forget the name of their account, but it had like 1,000 views or something. So I was like, oh, well, she's doing these things, but who the hell do
Yeah.
I have to talk to? Like, I'm trying to
Yeah,
get her
like
on here. Like,
you got a
yo,
publicist or something. We got
yeah,
to get in
like
touch, man.
we'll see. I mean, we'll find. I'll try and find somebody. I just think it'd be really cool to have somebody
Yeah.
big on here. I know podcasts I listen to, they got one of the aunties on their podcast, and she
Oh,
actually did the voice for some what's that game called? Some Overwatch characters. She did some
okay.
voice acting. Um, and they got her on their podcast and she had a lot of cool things to say. And so I was like, oh, that's very cool. Like, and like we couldn't get Warden on, which is fine. But I thought that was really cool that they got them on. And so I was like, oh man, we should try and go for a Manvillain. Like we should try and push for it now. I don't know. Anybody, dude. I think it'd be really cool. So
Yeah. Yeah, we'll try to get some people for you guys, no promises or anything. Hopefully nothing else horrific like that comes out of
yeah.
whoever we try to find. But thank you guys for watching so much. Thank you guys for listening. If you're on Spotify, Apple Music, any other podcast listening platform, we appreciate you guys. If you guys are watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. Don't miss our uploads. We are doing it every week. We got the boys Hero Gasm tomorrow,
Yeah.
so look forward to that. We're trying to get a couple other people on, see if we can have some fresh new faces in here. We'll see how that goes, but either way, even if we don't, it'll be me and Aiden talking about the horrific disgusting stuff we're probably going to see on that in that episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys so much. We Kenobi just ended. We're gonna do a Kenobi one. I think, or is that's still in the plan?
Yeah, I want to kind of do like a big season wrap up. See if we can get like Ben on here. Just talk about what we thought of the show as a whole. We can do it week to week, which is totally fine. It wasn't really a big deal to me. I think it'll be awesome to get together and talk about a season wrap up, and that way we could talk about every single episode. So yeah, we'll definitely try and reach for that as soon as everyone gets caught up. See if we can get some other people on here and just do a big Kenobi season wrap up.
Yeah. We got tons of stuff in the pipeline. Lots. We got SheHulk coming up. We got this I Am Groot show. I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah,
We'll talk about news
Thor.
stuff like that. We got Thor. Yep, the Thor's gonna be a big episode we have coming up too. And then we're gonna do some like non-comic book stuff too. I'm sure. Like we'll do like whenever that Last of Us show drops. We want like both Aiden and I are interested in that. We're gonna do all sorts of stuff. So if you guys like the content, be sure to stick around. Appreciate you guys so much. Those of you who do stick around and do keep watching, we appreciate you. If you want to find myself, I upload on TikTok every day. It's Cubson. Aiden also uploads on TikTok every day. Aiden H Talks. We talk about all this comic book stuff, everything entertainment, yada yada yada, all that type of stuff. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys with the boys. Peace out.
Peace.